Dad, can we get beaver nuggets for dinner?
No, honey. We got badger nuggets back at the house, along with some fine Wisconsin cheddar. Wisconsin is the home of the Packers, the Brewers, and the Bucks. But there is one that outdates them all. The University of Wisconsin and their plucky mascot, Bucky. It's time to dig in to the history of Bucky the Badger. Wisconsin and badgers go back nearly 200 years. When lead was discovered in the state in the early 1800s, miners flocked to the area. These miners took a note from the local burrowing wildlife as they lived in dugouts to shield from the brutal winters. This would not only lead to the miners being known as the Badgers, but in 1851, Wisconsin would add the creature to its state seal, opposite a pickaxe. When Wisconsin began playing football in 1889, there was only one thing that they could call themselves. And they weren't the lone Badgers on the field. You see, the use of a live badger started when the football program did. Often more dangerous than the game itself, the badger was always angry and did bite a few people before finally being retired in 1948. The final badgers were moved to the Madison Zoo, being replaced briefly by a raccoon wearing a sweater with Regdab, badger spelled backwards, written on the back. The Wisconsin Library of Congress filed the trademark for the likeness of a badger mascot on October 2nd, 1940, Bucky's official birthday. Finally, in 1949, for homecoming, the art department was tasked with creating a badger head and outfit, birthing the iconic mascot. The head and red sweater were first worn by Bill Sash, a gymnast and cheerleader, also the guy who made the costume. But what would the mascot's name be? See, over the years, the Badger logo went by Bernie, Bobby, Buddy, and Bouncy. That year, Sash held a contest and rigged the election so that the name would forever be Buckingham, You Badger. Named after the fight song lyric, Buck right through that line. Now, what makes a Bucky, you may be asking yourself? And I don't mean the gas station chain. The original head was, of course, made from chicken wire and paper mache, later collared with red and white badger stripes. Usually accompanying the outfit would include a Wisconsin or W logo sweater with slacks or sweatpants. In the 50s, he was adorned with his famous boxing gloves to resemble the fighting nature of the creature. The infamous red and white striped sweater seen on the original Bucky logo was first worn in the 60s, being added to the costume's rotation. In the 70s, the head was covered in fleece to give him a more natural look. It became the main design in the 80s and 90s. And in the 2000s, Bucky's head was given an overhaul when the switch was made to carbon fiber, with each head costing $3,000 apiece. And yes, you heard that right, as there are 6 Bucky costumes in a rotation for all kinds of events, and 7 students are tasked with performing the duties. But don't just take my word for it. We have a special guest here today. Here to share some of the stories from his time at Wisconsin is YouTube's own Embrace the Grind. Take it away, man.
I just want to say thank you for having me so I could talk about my favorite mascot in all of college sports, and that is Bucky the Badger. You know, I'm a Wisconsin grad myself. If you followed my channel, you'd know that already on the multiple Wisconsin videos I've done over the years. But I also used to give tours at the University of Wisconsin of the athletic department, including Camp Randall, and I'd always have to share some stories about Bucky the Badger. And one of the reasons I love Bucky so much compared to other mascots is I feel like he's different. You have so many different tiger mascots, so many different bird mascots, but there's not many badgers. I feel like the Badgers and the Wolverines in the Big Ten are two very different mascots that are kind of similar, but it just invokes this different feeling between the two, and I think it's what makes Bucky the Badger so special in itself. Along with that, some of my favorite stories that I used to share when I gave tours was the fact that Wisconsin tried to have a live badger on the actual sidelines back in the early 1900s when the football program was newer, and the badger actually got out, which led to them getting a skunk that they painted like a badger, and that was always such a weird story for me to share, but just so wild because if you know anything about badgers, they're some of the most ferocious and dangerous animals in the animal kingdom. They're fearless, and that think, oh hey, let's bring a live badger onto the football field because nothing could go wrong there, is just an absolutely wild thought process, but also something that truly fits what makes college football so special. I mean, you got LSU, who had Tiger on the sideline for many years. You have Bevo at Texas. Having live college mascots are special, and the fact that the Badgers tried it and it failed miserably because the Badger got out is just one of my favorite stories of the origins of Bucky that I hope you get to go into more detail about throughout this video. Another crazy story is how Wisconsin almost lost Bucky. You know anything about the state of Wisconsin, it's known for its dairy products, specifically its milk and its cheese. So there was a politician who wanted to change the University of Wisconsin's mascot from Bucky the Badger to a cow mascot. But it was one of those crazy stories where Wisconsin fans threw backlash over the idea of losing Bucky, and it shows how ingrained into the culture Bucky the Badger is at the University of Wisconsin and in the state as a whole, that they would rather have Bucky than an actual cow as their mascot, even though cow represents the state of Wisconsin a little more than Bucky the Badger. One of my favorite things Wisconsin and what they do for one of their yearly traditions is during Halloween. I'm recording this on the weekend of Halloween. Bucky would, like many mascots, would come up and dress up into different costumes and throughout the games, and it was always one of those funny side note things that you can't see on television, but just made it feel even more special being in the stadium. It brought in the spirit of Halloween, and it just made everything so special. Bucky the Badger is one of my favorite mascots. Always so happy to talk about him and share some of the stories, and I hope you all truly gain an appreciation of how special and different Bucky the Badger is compared to other mascots in all of college sports, and why I personally think he's the best. Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun to talk about Bucky the Badger.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And if you guys like to hear stories about the FCS or other college football matters, check out Embrace the Grind here on YouTube. Link down in the description. All right, guys, it's time for another Corso's Count. Lee Corso has worn the Bucky head a total of 4 times, with a record of 2-2. The most notable of the victories was over his beloved Ohio State, when J.J. Watt and the Badgers shocked the Buckeyes, 31-18. Now, of course, we have to discuss tradition. Bucky joins many other mascots in doing the celebratory push-ups. Starting in 1991 to stoke up the crowds, it was in 2010, kind of like when they beat Ohio State, that he had an all-timer with 535 push-ups after UW badgered the Hoosiers of Indiana 83-20. And we can't forget the Bucky Wagon. Yep, Bucky has his own car. The Bucky Wagon is a 1932 American LaFrance fire engine and has been a campus icon since 1971. There were a few others throughout the years, but this one has persevered, and ever since 2011, it's electric. I'm sorry. The Badger has been a symbol for the city of Madison, Wisconsin for over a century and a half. Bucky has been a symbol of college pride for over 80 years. One of the many things that makes the college game so special. He's lucky, he's plucky, he is Buckingham U Badger, and he is a mascot that made us. Now it's time to spin the wheel of mascots. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. If you have a fun fact or want to add a team to the wheel, please leave a comment. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out the link below for the Wisconsin Play Football, Not Commercial shirts, and to check out more videos from Embrace the Grind. Until next time, on Wisconsin!